Miss Casey Hallmark. Please stand up. Casey is going to be our new director. She starts on January 3rd.
Yes.
Super excited, and we're super excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Really, really ready to get in there and get started. And I would like to meet with you guys and see what your visions and ideas for that position are, and hit the ground running.
I think we already have a phenomenal team over there, and it's only going to get better.
Absolutely.
So I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for Alexa being there and gonna rely on her expertise, and I know she has a lot of knowledge about DOI, so I'm very excited to join forces and see what we can do.
Very good.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Is the secretary for DOI, is she here?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, have y'all not met Audrey?
She was introduced
Yeah,
at
I've
the
never-
last meeting, but I think that some of you weren't here at the last meeting, so Audrey, could you stand up, please? This is Audrey Lujan. She's our new executive administrative assistant.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Right. Approval of minutes from November the 9th, 2021.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can we get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
We're non-voting members, remember? Don't look at us. No.
Okay. All right. Approved.
Golly, don't look at us. Don't look at us.
This looks
We're
like
not
a
voting members.
pretty
Unless
Christmas
they're
outfit.
Yeah, right?
I mean,
Should be wearing gray.
Next on
I
the
think just
agenda
looking at a response, I'm like,
is your outfit. It's really
Is it?
nice.
okay.
Review of November 2021 financials.
Alexa, do you want to go over part of these with us also? You're a little more up on it. One thing I'm gonna start with is, hey guys, we made some money. Our last event, we made money. So, I know, Alexa, tell us all about it, please.
Yeah, so if you look at your statement of financial position, we've gone up quite significantly. There was net revenue of $23,422.45 between entry fees for the parade, registration fees for the market, ticket purchases for Teddy Bear Tea, and sponsorships for the various Winterfest events. So, you know, a lot of the loss that we saw during the past 2 years with COVID canceling things, we're basically almost back up at our pre-COVID position right after Winterfest here. So,
Good job.
thank you.
Awesome. Do you have any questions?
If you look through in our statements of activities, you'll just see the general statement of activity there on your next page, right after the statement of financial position, and that'll just kind of show you the highlights of things right there. But then if you flip to the next document, that actually breaks it down by class, by event, so you see exactly where money went in and out for each event. So we're seeing net revenue from the parade of over $12,000. For this month, not including the sponsorship that was cashed in last month, we're seeing revenue from the Teddy Bear Tea of $193.59. From the market, we brought in almost $4,700. So Winterfest total, you're seeing net revenue in of $16,598.30.
Very good.
Very good. And another thing I wanted to say, Alexa and Audrey, you both did really good with the parade and the Market Fest. It went off well. Good job, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve it, do we?
Yes.
All in approval of the November financials?
All first?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Okay.
New business.
So one thing that you'll see on the financials that you see every month is our bank charges and fees of $15. That's for Swipe Simple, which is what we previously used for credit card transactions. They charge you $15 a month just to be set up on their system, regardless of whether or not you're going to run any transactions that month or not. For the parade and for everything that we've been using, we've actually been using Square because we can integrate it into Forms, so that way people can pay all on their own. We had over 300 transactions come in this past month, and we only had to run 17 of them manually, whereas with Swipe Simple, we would have had to run every single one of them manually. So between the amount of money that it's saving us in labor just to let people to run their own credit cards, and Square doesn't charge us any kind of monthly fee, and the rates are just about comparable between what they take percentage-wise, we're looking at potentially canceling the Swipe Simple that we have through Southwest Bank, and we just want to run that by you to see if that is something you guys would like to do. Like I said, we've been using Square for this past month with almost $20,000 in charges and had 0 issues, and it's worked out very, very well.
Did we need to use the Swap Simple at all during your last event?
No.
Not
In
at-
fact, even when we had to run charges on site, we just ran it through Square because you can get a Square reader for just a couple of dollars. So we would need to invest in those. But I mean, what we spend $15 a month, one Square reader is about $15. So if we spend 2 months worth of our Swipe Simple fees, will be set up forever with Square. You know what I mean? So
We didn't take any cash, did we?
no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that was really smooth.
Yes, it was very nice not to take cash, and even in the office for parade registration, we took 1 check. Everything else was credit card. No one said anything. They just paid online, and they did it on their own time. A lot of the transactions came in after hours, whereas if we had to have them call in to pay like they've had to do in the past, they would have had to, submit their application in advance, have it lingering out there unpaid, that kind of thing. At least here, we did not take any applications that didn't have payment because you couldn't submit your application without the payment. It was great.
Yeah, and Alexa, I don't know, I hope you consider next year that we cut the registration on Wednesday, because I've worked the parade several years, and that was fantastic that we weren't taking registration at 10 till 6.
Yes, I think that was the smoothest that registration has ever gone, to be honest
Yeah, it
with
was really
you.
smooth and really good, so I hope we continue to do that.
Good.
Okay.
Or, I hope we continue to do that.
I guess I would like to make a motion for us to cancel the Swap Simple.
Can we get a second?
Second?
All approve?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
We'll make the arrangements to get that taken care of. Thank you, guys.
Can we get an event update on the winter events?
Absolutely. So we'll just start in chronological order. The Parade of Lights that was on December 4th, it was our largest parade in history for the first time ever. Like Denise just said, we had to close registration on Wednesday night. Typically, we take registration on site up until 6 p.m. when the parade starts rolling at 6:30, which has always been like a heart attack in itself. So this year was actually quite nice not registering anybody on site. We had over 235 vehicles from over 95 different organizations. It was very large, but we did a really great job with coordinating with all of our different departments. PD and fire did a really great job keeping it on track. We didn't have any reports of large gaps like we've had in the past. Up at the OC end, at least, it ended right about 8:30, so we were looking at right at 2 hours for over 200 vehicles, which is significantly larger than any parade we've ever had, and that's about the same time span, so we definitely cut down on time. Our parks team did fantastic helping us with the lineup and getting all of that coordinated. So really it took a whole city effort, but from all the feedback we've gotten from the public on social media, people have said that this was the best parade in years. So there really wasn't any major hiccups or any major flaws or any complaints that we've gotten in the office, which typically whenever you do something this large, you're going to get some negative calls, but we really haven't. So overall, we're very pleased with the way that the parade went and the cooperation that it took among basically the entire city, if I had to be honest with you.
Now, you said 235 vehicles. Was it, how many floats?
Of
Or
the
did you include that in the floats?
That included the floats. So
Okay.
the floats, there were about 40 18-wheelers that were like 50 foot or larger. So those were the larger floats, and then some people had some smaller 20-foot floats that I would probably estimate at about another 20 to 30. So if I had to guess, floats total were about 70 out of the 235. There were a lot of classic cars and trucks, and then we also had about 60 to 65 side-by-sides. They came out in a force this year. This is the first time we've ever really seen the side-by-sides, but they got all their friends together and they all wanted to do it, and they were great. They really decorated and they went all out. So those groups did a great job
And-
too.
Yeah.
This
Oh.
doesn't include the bands, does it?
It does not include the bands, no. So there's still all of the bands. There were 7 bands from ECISD, and then also Compass Academy. UTPB did not do the parade this year, but in typical years we would add them in as well. I think they're just going through some transitions right now, so we'd expect to see them back again in the future.
And Alexa, we basically doubled the fees, entry fees, correct?
Some fees doubled, some fees actually tripled.
And we had no complaints.
Not a single one. Well, one. We did have one. Yes,
But, yeah,
actually.
that's good though, just to have
That's
one
good.
complaint.
Yeah.
And the thing is, most people, they just see the fee, like if you're a community organization that wants to register 5 vehicles, that's $175, and they see that as being a lot. But then once you talk to them and you break it down, it's like, well, 175 divided by 5 vehicles, that's really only $35 per vehicle. So just ask each of your members to pay $35 and you're good to go. And once you kind of broke it down to them like that, they were like, oh, okay, that's not so bad.
Cool.
You know what I mean? So I think that's also just an education thing.
Thank you.
If I could just add one, the only complaint that I received, and I got it from a few people, were just the 18-wheelers and their air horns. They're just saying that they do get kind of excessive
Yes.
with the air horn, blowing their horns and stuff down the parade route and stuff, and sometimes they couldn't hear some of the performing people behind them, their music because of the horns.
Correct.
That's the only complaint that I got. Other than that, I got a lot of people calling me up or just around the block or in that area saying that it was a really good parade. So
Yeah, I really think people spent the last year of COVID just designing their Christmas float, because even the participants, the quality of float, I think, far exceeded what we've seen in the past couple of years. People were really ready. They were prepared.
And location of Camaro keys.
Yes. Yes, we had a small issue with Camaro keys, but we found them, so don't you worry.
They left them on the dash, which is
Yeah.
on the windshield wipers, but we found them.
And also finding someone who could drive a stick shift to drive the Camaro was also an issue, but very minor in the grand scheme of things. Any other questions or comments about the parade? One of the other things that were commented on quite a bit was the Winterfest Market that was going on at the same time to complement the parade. That was going on in the daytime from 1 to 9, whereas the parade was 6:30 to about 9 or so down here. A lot of people really complimented the fact that they had something to do. If they got down there early to save their spots, they could finally have some place to go eat. They could stop at one of the local restaurants. They could go shop at the little vendors. Their kids could go into the bouncy houses. They weren't just down there early to save their spot and sitting and sitting and sitting. They could go put their chairs out or put their car out, put whatever to save their spot, and then they could go and do something. And people really were very complimentary about that. We had quite a few people reach out to us afterward and sign up for the market on the 18th. We had about 10 different vendors sign up. The following day, like the parade was Saturday, by Monday morning we had about 10 new vendors signed up for the 18th because they saw how well that it went. We had people reach out to our city's communication team asking if that's going to go on every year because it was really good and they really liked it. So we've had just a lot of compliments about that.
Is the time the same Saturday from 1 to 9?
No, it's actually going to be a little bit shorter because it's complementing our teddy bear tea that's going on. So it's going to start at 11 and end at 4. Okay. So that way it'll be only daytime and it'll be kind of the warmer times. The parade had people out at night, so we wanted something out there. But now that it's going to just be the teddy bear tea, which is in the morning, we're doing something that's going to end a little bit earlier.
We were at the market, I thought it was very well done, and a lot of the vendors. So the only thing that I saw towards the end, like at 8:30, it seemed like people were picking up and closing, and I said, doesn't it last till 9? And they said, well, the parade's over and no one's coming this way. There's hardly anyone here. And I said, I don't think it's over yet. So I think that was what some people did never come, and maybe they tried to come at 9. So there may have been more people at 1. I can't remember what time we went the first time. We went in between parties, and I think it was like maybe 2 or 3. So if they went at 1 or prior to the party, the parade, then
Yeah, there was a very good crowd right as we opened, then that first crowd kind of dissipated, but then the larger crowd, I would say, hit right about 3:30 or 4, would you say? Yeah, right around 3:30 or 4 is when we kind of saw our largest crowd, because that's when everyone was like, all right, the parade's in 2-3 hours, we got to go get our spots and stuff, you know what I mean? So they did exactly that. They put their folding chairs down, and then they went to the market, and it was
That's
great.
great.
So.
It was great.
Yeah, and all the vendors had really good feedback. Everyone said that they made money. They said that the fees we charged were fair, and it definitely covered all of our expenses that we had. So as far as we see it, it was a win-win for everybody.
Are we comparable to the fees at Parks Legato?
No, we charged $50 per day or $85 for both days. Parks Legato charges $300 a day.
Wow. Okay.
So we are significantly cheaper than they are, and that's one thing that the vendors all complimented. They say at $300 a day, sometimes it might be hard to make a profit, whereas $50 or $85 for both, they know that they're going to come out, and they'll at least come out in the positive. So
Yeah, I think there'll be opportunity once we max out, then we just make the price go up.
yeah, and at at the one on the 4th, we had 55 vendors. We're at almost 70 for the 18th, so we're at
Great.
even more vendors. So it'll be really great, especially for the last weekend before Christmas. If people need to do last minute Christmas shopping or something, there's a lot of different stuff that's going to be out there. And we really do have a great variety and spread of vendors. It's not like it's all t-shirts and keychains and stuff. There's baked goods, there's toys, there's gifts, there's soap, there's all kinds of stuff.
Alexa, does DOI have to do any kind of setup for that? The only reason I'm asking is I have different sports teams from OHS wanting opportunities for their athletes to go out and help out in the community.
Yeah.
So if there's any, for this event or any further events, any opportunity for them to come out and volunteer to help do a thing, I have volunteers for you, so.
Yeah, absolutely. We always need volunteers. I think we're pretty much set for this weekend. We might
Okay.
have a couple spots. I'm not sure if it would be enough for the teams, but whenever we have children's activities, we like to have volunteers outside of each of the bouncers to make sure kids are taking off their shoes, that there's not 50 of them in there, you know what I mean, kind of limit it. So we always need volunteers for that kind of stuff, to help us with litter afterwards, make sure we leave our space as nice as we found it, if not better, that kind of thing. So we always need volunteers. That we will never say no.
Alexa, are we doing the same footprint as we did the first market?
Yes, we are. But the
Okay.
barricades will be correct this time. There were, like I said, there were minor issues that day, but it was nothing that
Overall, it
was,
was good.
you know, yes.
It was.
Overall, it was great.
Thank you. Any questions about anything that we've recapped that's been over already from the 4th? All right. Well, then coming up this Saturday, like I said, we have the next Winterfest Market. We're looking at almost 70 vendors, if not a little bit over. We're finalizing the map today, so we should be releasing that tomorrow. We also have the Teddy Bear Tea. The 12 o'clock session is pretty full. The 10 o'clock still has some people signed up, but there's definitely a little bit more room for the earlier session of the Teddy Bear Tea. And then the movie, we are doing a free showing of Elf at the market, and that starts at 2:30. That's from 2:30 to 4 to end the movie, and that's going to be on the courthouse lawn. We got the permission from the county to use their space.
What's the time again?
Elf is going to be from 2:30 to 4, but the market itself is from 11 to 4. And the first sitting of the Teddy Bear Tea is at 10 a.m., and then the second sitting sits at noon. And then for New Year's Eve on the 31st, we have our comedian confirmed. We have Mark Price. You know him as Skippy from Family Ties back in the 80s. But he's also a stand-up comedian now. That's actually how he got onto Family Ties, was he was on a show back in the day and doing comedy, and his father was also a comedian. So he's going to be our headliner. We also have an opening act for him, and then there's an MC that'll introduce all of them. So it's actually going to be a very nice little set, 90 minutes of entertainment between the MC, the opening act, and then our main act. Tickets are going to go on sale. Probably I'll have them ready to go tomorrow. We're just waiting on finalizing like room packages and things like that with the hotel, because we're going to do some packages and make sure we have a good rate for people. That way we can kind of push them that direction instead of drinking and driving. They can enjoy their night and not have to worry about anything.
What's the price?
Prices are going to be a little bit higher than they were in 2019. We've cut down on budget pretty significantly. We've saved about $7,000 on entertainment. We spent about $10,000 on our act in 2019. I got the budget down to $3,000. So we about broke even in 2019. We cut back the budget a little bit. Everything else has pretty much stayed the same, but we want to push tables up from 1,000 to $12.50, and that's for 10 seats, so it would come out to $125 per seat if you bought the whole table, and then individual tickets at $175.
You say you have the packages for the hotel tomorrow?
Yeah, we're getting that information. We should have it by today, which means I could put them on sale tomorrow.
Perfect.
All right, any questions about anything winter before we move on to our upcoming events? All right. For our state of downtown, we got to do this in 2020 right before COVID hit. We did not get to do it in 21 because COVID was still going, but we're looking like 22 is going to be positive. We discussed this last week at our play committee meeting. One thing that we were looking to do in 21 that obviously didn't come to fruition was changing the format from a dinner to a luncheon. And that is something that the committee still thinks would be a good idea, and we want to get your permission to do that before we move ahead. They're also looking at keeping the same date pattern, so normally we do the third Thursday in February. So we want to make sure that that would be good with y'all as well, to look for a venue that can host us on the third Thursday of February for a luncheon as opposed to a dinner. So if anyone has any thoughts on that, we would definitely love to entertain that and see what your feedback is, but that is the recommendation of the play committee.
I think luncheon's good.
I mean, luncheon, we were thinking because, a major draw of downtown is many people work down here, so we already have our captive audience, whereas when we do the dinner, we ask them a lot of them to leave downtown at 5, then come back down for 7 or 8 o'clock whenever we start, so, why not just keep our captive audience while they're here?
Just depends on everybody's work schedule, what works best for them
Right.
on that day, so.
But I mean, I think that if we start advertising it now and people buy tables and things like that, hopefully it would give them enough time to arrange. And we were looking at probably the 11:30 to 1 time slot, give a little bit of extra time so people can eat while they're there and then also listen to the speakers. We would have to cut back on the program a little bit because, as you know, State of Downtown normally goes on significantly longer than an hour and a half. Normally it's about a 2.5 to 3 hour program. So we would have to cut back a little bit on the speakers and things like that and what the programming would look like. But to condense into that lunchtime hour, we think would overall kind of maximize the benefit, as this is one of our main fundraisers of the year. So we want to try to maximize fundraising capabilities as much as possible.
The only thing I would think about is that several of the businesses downtown are restaurants. And so they wouldn't be able to come.
Right.
If we're honoring them, or if they wanted to just come and see who's honored. I don't know what the ratio is. It seems like most of them are restaurants. I don't know.
I also think with the restaurants, I think we'll be okay, because it'll probably just be maybe a manager and owner or something like that, not their whole crew.
Okay.
So I think it should be okay.
It should, okay.
Okay.
What kind of price were we thinking about charging on that versus evening time versus lunchtime?
I mean, ideally keep the prices the same as they were at dinner time, even though we're not offering the alcohol and things like that. But, it's pretty comparable to what the chamber charges for their annual luncheon is our State of Downtown prices, but they've always done a luncheon, whereas we've done a dinner. So I don't think it would be off base to necessarily keep the prices right about where they have been historically. In order for people to attend and keep the sponsorship levels the same and things like that. Tickets for an individual kind of will range anywhere from the early bird price. If I think the early bird is $125, and then like at the door it goes up to like $175 or something like that. So it'd be in that range for an individual ticket, and obviously it's cheaper for people who sponsor the entire tables.
Okay.
All right. And then on to tap into downtown. This is probably one where we really do need to have some discussion. We've had a lot of discussion about this event with the play committee and kind of what the future of it looks like. We didn't get to do this one in 2020. We didn't get to do it in 2021. Before that, we never really, in the grand scheme of things, broke even. We would only, even in our best year, the only profit we ever made was basically matching what city council gave us and all of our events. The goal is to become self-sufficient eventually, you know what I mean, to be able to survive and do all these things even if city council gave us zero hot funding every year. Obviously, we're very grateful that you guys do, but if there's ever a time where things happen and you can't, if you know what I mean, we want to make sure that our programming has potential to be self-sufficient, and this has definitely been on the weaker end of things, where even in the best year we made a $40,000 profit, and that was the year that we had a $40,000 budget from hot taxes. So really, that was a break-even event in the grand scheme of self-sufficiency. And ever since then, it's kind of gone downhill. We've made $20,000 with a $40,000 budget, and so on. So we're really thinking that this might be one that needs to be tabled for at least another year until there's more businesses in that footprint that can support it as pedestrian activity. If people are coming for tastings, there'll be more businesses for them to hop into in between tastings, in between entertainment. Just more infrastructure to kind of support an event like this, and to give us more time to kind of rethink it and rehash and reinvent it, as there's obviously something with it that just, it never quite hits that self-sufficiency growth mark, whereas our other events typically do year after year grow and continue to become more profitable and more self-sufficient. This one hasn't. So we were looking at either tabling this one for the year entirely, or kind of morphing it into something else, maybe partnering with Odessa Arts, and instead of doing this the last weekend in March, do something the first weekend in February, an arts appreciation type thing, or an art walk, a champagne art walk, something like that, downtown. So we can kind of still keep some components of what TAP was, but make it something that maybe is a little bit more profitable.
Yeah, I think that'll be a great discussion for you and Casey, and you guys decide what your programming will be for next year. And then bring it to us would be great.
Okay. All right. And then tap into downtown. I know many of you have reached out to me to get an update on fireworks, so I've asked our fire marshals to be here today to kind of answer any questions that you guys might have, because I know a lot of you have had questions about the location, what the holdups are, and why certain places would or wouldn't work, and what exactly we're looking for, so that y'all might be able to help us. So this time I'd like to invite up Michelle or Omar or whoever would like to speak from the fire marshals to answer any questions that you guys might have and give us some more information about our firework location and our hunt for a location for this year.
Hello, everyone. I know we're going to talk. So, Michelle Cervantes, the fire marshal, and my partner here, Omar Galindo, the assistant fire marshal. Just a little bit, as you know, the location that we had out on on Crane has been sold, and we can't use that. We haven't been able to find another location as big to accommodate the fireworks that that the city likes to display. Omar has done some research as far as what NFPA requires and on the fire code. And a lot of it depends too on the drop zone. So, and NFPA also not requires, but states about if it's residential and if it's an occupied business too as well. So, if you have any questions, Omar will be able to help you and answer, and some stuff that I might know, but we're here to ask away, and we'll try to answer those questions the best we can.
My question, have you looked at a map and said, what about this area, or this area, and gave us some recommendations?
We've actually drove downtown, right, and looked and got out and measured whatever we think has been available, but there's just so many regulations for downtown, for any time, that so it's all based on whatever the fireworks is going to use, what type of firework, whatever it is, mortar size, and that stipulates what the drop zone is. So based on past experience, what we've done downtown, we really haven't been able to find anything downtown that accommodates that. Now, there's been other properties that have been brought up that are further north and
away from
west,
downtown.
but it's not downtown.
And that's also with us communicating with the people that are gonna be displaying or being the fireworks people. They've also, we've met with them and we've been in contact with what they're telling us they can do and stuff. So we've kind of been trying to do a lot of research too, but the or even just the locations that y'all know, told us about, Omar is correct. We've gone out there and, looked, and it's just every time that we've gone and those two locations that we've looked at, it wouldn't work.
So the last one that was proposed by
The Coliseum.
Coliseum, that one was a good location, but I don't really know what.
It's not downtown, and that's, you know.
Yes.
Right, it was quite far away, and to also get the lot, get the dried brush and do all of that, that would need to happen, would be a lot of work for the city crews to accomplish, to make that site viable, but distance-wise, it had the clearance.
Correct.
What business bought the old location?
It's an off-field business, because they have a lot of
It's
trucks
Jackson
and
Harrington,
pipeline.
isn't it?
No, I think it's based out of Canada.
Okay.
Is where
What,
the main
what
office
type
is.
of business? I heard it was a pipe yard.
It is a pipeline.
Yeah.
I don't think we can catch the pipe on fire.
No,
And
I'm-
they've already fenced it off too, so they've already,
Could we ask
Yes.
permission from them? Is there any way like that we could ask permission? I mean,
there's never, to say that we never can say we can't ask.
Mhm.
I think at one, and this is prior, me returning back to the fire department, I think weren't they upset because of the drop zone of some of the
There was
debris?
gasoline close.
Yeah,
by.
gasoline to where the, train tracks were and stuff like that, so that was something too that caused, some concern that maybe in the future, that would not be allowed.
and the pipeline and the company that bought it actually has they have like above ground huge diesel tanks and stuff like that, so it kind of throws that out.
What's the perimeter around the epicenter from the drop zone?
It's based on whatever mortar is. It's changed years to year, so it can vary anything from 350 to 500, 700. It just depends on the mortar size.
Now, we did have a discussion with them where the mortars can go smaller and it would be accommodating, but I think the display wouldn't be as huge.
Correct. That was
and you couldn't see it.
Correct.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that was
Then-
some of the things that cause that was one of the other possibilities that we could look at as well.
And it has to be buried,
hold
doesn't
on.
it? The fireworks have to be buried in the ground.
They don't have to be buried, but they do. There's other
Level.
regulations, like people have. It just depends. Is it electronic or is it people are doing punks? It's what are they doing?
So we can't do them off City Hall.
No, you cannot.
And that's been brought up. But, another thing too, I think was it a digital display? We've also have heard a lot of cities are doing that, but I don't know where Odessa
We-
stands with that.
We looked at some different things like that, I know Mayor has pushed and pushed, I want fireworks, and I
Yeah.
said, okay.
Yeah, no,
I mean, we're all
understand.
trying.
We would love them to as much. We're not just saying no, 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 because,
It's
I'd
a
love to see
safety.
them myself.
It's a
or be
safety
part of
issue.
them,
Yes.
Um,
Not only is it a safety issue, but let's say we're looking at the drop zone, right? And that drop zone entails other businesses or other residentials. You have to get them on board, because if they say, one of them says no,
It's no.
you can't do
Then
it.
it's no.
And I'll tell you, the large ones that they used to do at the Odessa American parking lot, remember
Yes.
when they did it from the OA? I live at 12th and Texas. I've had fallout
Oh,
that
yeah.
far away. I guess it depends which way the wind's blowing also.
And
Yes, it
that's
does.
another thing, we don't know that date, we live in West Texas too, that's unpredictable, the weather changes with a blink of an eye.
How long ago was it done at the Ector County Coliseum? How long, does anybody know?
Probably over 20 years,
Yeah.
Yeah, when
probably
I
easy.
spoke to the
Toby did it.
Coliseum last year, they said it had been about 25 years.
Yes.
But we're open to suggestions, just because of the
Oh,
stuff.
we need
And
y'all.
I know we wanna
Yes.
focus everything downtown, and I get it, because, I think that's what we wanna do ourselves. I just want y'all to know that we've been doing our own research and our own homework to try to get it done, but unfortunately, right now, we haven't come up with a solution.
Does it have to be, I don't know, to help us, like a city block is 300 by 300.
It's about a city block, yes.
So you need a minimal of a city block
Correct.
to approve it.
For at least what they've been normally doing.
Promoting,
Mm-hmm.
I guess,
I think that's
suggestion.
for 2-inch mortar.
It's about 2.5.
And a 2-inch mortar, what did we use previously when it shot really high?
When we were using the crane location, we would have a couple of 4s, I think would
Yes.
be the largest ones. But typically, the main part of the show would be 3s, and then the large ones near the end, like the finale ones, would be 4s.
So 4s, we're gonna need 4 city blocks.
It's pretty big size, yes.
Depends, yeah.
Now, I don't,
The location by the Coliseum, they actually were able to get clearance for up to 5s, I think, so it actually would have been larger, which was kind of the balance of, yes, it's further, but they're also the larger fireworks, so where's that happy
Well,
medium?
do you think you could see those from downtown?
That's what I think.
yeah, I don't know.
And I
From
think it could be a
high enough?
watch party here. It doesn't have to be where the actual fireworks are.
I mean,
You have music going to it and.
I think you could see them. I mean, Alexa, can you ask them, I mean, up to a 5-inch, will that be visible from
How many
downtown?
miles, maybe we can just kinda ask them as well,
Yeah.
how far.
I mean, because we don't have any really, the banks are on the opposite side blocking it from downtown, so there's no large obstacles blocking it.
I think we could do the research to see how far away that would be visible from.
And is that city property
Yes, that was city property.
that we don't have to ask county for permission?
Correct.
Correct, but there would, like I said, there would be significant work that would need to be done to the site, like that's by hazardous waste, by that facility, so they would have to move some of their mulch piles over, so there would be a process, it would be something we would need to start coordinating with city folks to rearrange that site to get the debris out of the way.
And we'd have 1,000,000 firemen there anyway. I mean, seriously, anytime we do that.
Right.
Is there any other areas, county-owned or anything else, that we could use that we could ask permission that could work? Is there any private locations y'all know of that we could go, hey, Mr. Owner, can we borrow this?
That may be
We
the
talked
best
about
option.
Ratliff.
It's just, that may be a good option, is just to go to a private, go private and ask them for permission.
Are you looking into moving out of the downtown area? Does it
No,
matter?
I'd love it, but there's nothing downtown, even private, right?
Probably
No,
not.
no, that we know of. I mean, there was another one that we thought of, Ratliff, maybe, but
Yeah,
that's
but
even further.
that's even further.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, as we get bigger areas that are wider.
How
open.
about McKinney Park?
There were a couple sections
La
that we
Margarita.
looked at that I think were close to being viable, but then you also have the proximity to I-20.
Yes.
And that was the concern with McKinney,
I think that was,
if there was
A major.
debris, if the wind caught the debris and put it onto the interstate.
They're in their vehicles, they'll be fine.
and part of
They do
that,
have firemen over there, yes, it is.
What about the property directly south of the police department? Isn't that a large parking lot that's owned by the city?
we've looked at that, but it's not big enough because of the overhead lines. Like you have a lot of power lines that run through there.
Nothing behind that National Oil Well building either? It's on
Where's that?
Second and Texas, I think. Is that old National Oil Well sign?
Yeah, you're right there, that's
I
it.
don't know.
Seems
that.
like there's a lot of buildings back there.
I mean,
I don't know about space.
Can y'all look at an aerial for us and say, you know what, this would be perfect, but this is privately owned. Who knows this person?
We could, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and if y'all
I
could do
mean,
that,
I don't mind doing that and look at it, like you said.
yeah,
just
look at an
sneak
aerial.
outward.
I think that'd be easier for y'all instead of driving, look in aerial and say, this is privately owned. Who knows this person that we can get permission for? And also, Alexa, when we pay for the fireworks, isn't there like a $5 million liability insurance or something that comes with it?
They do, yeah, they provide us with insurance. I mean, no one wants to use that though, but so, let's be proactive.
I mean, unless it's the courthouse and they want a new one anyway, so.
Yeah, I think the only other option we might have ever looked at, I think that there might have been 1 or 2 locations on UTPB's campus, but then there was the
That's-
hassle of getting permission from the UT system.
Correct. Because they
That's the
actually,
whole thing.
they use it themselves, like they have their own stuff going on.
And DOI is paying for the fireworks now, correct?
We always have-
Years ago, not always, years ago it was the Lions.
The Lions did, yes.
The Lions paid for the fireworks and we took over. So if we're paying for it, with DOI money, I want it as close to downtown as possible. Agree? I mean, but if it would be visible from downtown to do it by the Coliseum, I'm okay with it. But I would really like it closer to downtown. And I mean, we can still do some of the lasers on the side of the building. They do some really cool drone stuff, but again, if we have much wind, the drones are out.
It's the same thing with fire. I mean, you're taking a risk, right? Just because we approve it, we still that day, if you go above a certain speed limit of the wind, it's a no-go.
Right. Okay. Okay. But if y'all will look at the aerial,
We'll do that as.
don't drive around. Don't do that. Just look at it and
And the reason we drove is because those locations were
Proposed to us.
proposed to us, so we went and measured and actually went out there and just started doing our research that way. And also talking to the people from the fireworks when they were giving them orders and then their drops, the drops them. So that's why we went and drove, so we could physically say, hey, we went out there.
and you measured.
Instead of just say, oh, we actually did and measured ourselves.
Instead of measuring, I know Philip probably can do it. Michael Marrero impressed me when we met with somebody and he pulled something up on his screen and he could measure a block into this and the size of a building, and he did a lot of really cool stuff just from a screen. So
I don't have that software.
oh, I couldn't do it either. Michael did a great job. So, but
I was about to say, instead they got amp bikes measuring the field by the Coliseum.
yeah. So
They just have tape measures.
yeah. So yeah. So.
You're holding it back.
So thank y'all, and if y'all will do that, and also look, and even if it's private owned, I bet somebody knows somebody to get some permission.
Perfect.
We can, and again, if there's any questions or concerns or anything that you would like to know, just call our office. We're here to do whatever we can to help and let y'all know where we're at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day. Thank you, Alexa. Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Well, I'm no longer the messenger. I brought the real messenger, so it's good information.
I mean, going private,
Yeah.
that could be a great advertisement for that company. Whoever, somebody had a place.
And we can also, we're a 401c3, can't we give them an in-kind donation?
Us pay the company?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Don't show that in-kind donation, just show where they donated to us the land.
Oh, yeah, if they donate the value, then yes, we could do some kind of receipt for them to make it tax deductible.
Win-win for everybody, and cost us nothing. Perfect. Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions about anything event related? Because that was kind of the last section of our event topic. So if you guys have any questions.
Real quick, guys, if we can't get fireworks, I don't say we do really small ones where you can't see them and we waste the money. I want something kind of big. Does the board agree?
What if we were able to do fireworks, but it's just not gonna be downtown?
I think if we can see them from downtown, if it's something big enough, if they say, yeah, we can do them at the Coliseum and we can see them from downtown, that's fine, because whoever's on stage can say, look to the north, that's where the fireworks are.
Well, I think we need to be proactive. If we're not gonna do this, because we took a lot of heat that we didn't do it last year
Right.
and Midland did. So we need to be proactive if we're not gonna do it, even if we did it elsewhere, if we can't do it downtown logistically. We need to be proactive to let somebody else know we're not doing it, so somebody else can pick up and do it. Cause I did hear there were several individuals, well, I could've done it here, or I could've done it here. And it is in the county,
Mhm.
not in the city. But we need to be proactive, getting the word out that we're not having a firework display quickly.
Right,
So that somebody else can plan one in the county, because they will.
Yeah, we've been talking about it since July, and we finally got some sort of answer and tell them that we're doing drones or on the Marriott and also Bank of America building or whatever. We can have some different laser lights, doing some really cool stuff for 4th of July also. We've seen a thing where they can do drones and do 4th of July things, and they're super cool. Super expensive, but they're super cool. But if we have much wind, we don't get those either.
And also the landing zone and being so close to the helipad for the hospital, there's potentiality that drones could be delayed. Like if a flight has to come into the hospital, if a helicopter has to land, well then FAA is not going to give clearance to the drones until the airspace is clear. So that's also one other thing to keep into mind with if we do go the drone route. One, we have to book it very quickly because there's only a couple companies in the country that do it, and it is also significantly more expensive than the fireworks. So
Is it, so the only way you do the digital display is drones?
No, there's also a laser company. They're actually, we've looked at them a few times. They're quite reasonably priced, really. But they could do like a laser show. They could do projections onto the side of a building, different things like that. They're based out of, I believe, Austin.
And that was cool. That was real cool. So will you ask the firework company, say you've seen where we were at the Coliseum, would the fireworks be visible from downtown?
Sure, I can
And
get that
let's-
information.
And find out that.
And there's other things we could do, if we can't do it and do the fireworks downtown, then maybe that saves us some money, and maybe the city can use another pot of money to do it somewhere else, wherever they're gonna do it.
Yeah, that's always a possibility as well.
We don't have to be the ones that pay for it if it's not here.
I think probably Coliseum would be best because if you go out to right and left, they're gonna say it's the east side. If you go way here, just as central as possible where somebody doesn't think it's one side of town versus another.
We're gonna be able to actually see them that far.
I think you may. I think you may.
35
Line
blocks.
of sight.
35 blocks? Could city council grant us a temporary permit to shoot a couple off and see if we can actually see them? Early.
This way.
Maybe, I don't know. Probably
That
not.
would be up to code enforcement, not us. They
Well,
bring
we
it
would
to
also
us and
need
tell
the
us.
budgeting to do.
So you mentioned the helicopter pad. Would the Texas Tech parking lot suffice for that during a 2-hour?
I don't think so, just because MCH is the local trauma center, it's the trauma center for 13 counties, and so if anyone's being life flighted into there, it's probably for a reason. I think diverting to Texas Tech would just not necessarily be the most ideal situation.
Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just think that, if we have to prioritize, I think between a holiday light display and someone's life, I would go with somebody's life, you know what I mean?
Okay. We're working on it though.
It's like brains are firing on that.
Yes. Now, if there's plenty of space out by Texas Tech that we could shoot fireworks off from.
We only have like half a block for
Right.
a parking lot, so, yeah, I was thinking about that but then I don't know if the hospital would appreciate all the debris and,
That is fair, yes.
They can shoot off downtown on one of these tall buildings
and with the helicopter
and
landing.
have the debris fall downtown.
If there's in the fallout zone, right? Who knows if that would even be allowed? That would
They
be,
get
once again, a
Vegas.
fire marshal
They
question.
get everywhere else, but liability that if there's an explosion and damages the building.
That's what the insurance is for.
Yeah.
I'm not building another hotel.
I was about to say, the insurance shouldn't be the Band-Aid. Let's try to forget about the insurance. Let's
I
act
asked
as
for
if
that
they
also.
didn't have that.
Yeah, that's when I told the judge, you want a new courthouse if it goes bad. It goes bad, sorry. And they said, no. Okay, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Director's report.
So as far as our grant goes, we do have a couple of updates still. Ambler Law is still in the same place as they were. We're waiting for their documents for reimbursement. La Katrina and Co., we got everything from her, so I am just going through them to verify that we have everything, and then that's going to start going through the process for reimbursement. Petty Cardio is under construction. Icon is also under construction. They've had a couple delays due to their architect, but now they are back kind of getting on track. The house is under construction but should be completed quite shortly, so they should probably be moving into the compiling documents for reimbursement probably by our next meeting, or definitely I would say by the February meeting you should see that movement. Gifts R Us is on hold. To be honest, that's probably going to be canceled. I think that her plans are not really are not going to end up being a good match for the program. And then we're waiting on paperwork from Paradigm, Part 2 Designs, Clover House, and Forever Young. Clover House and Forever Young are really at the application stage. We just need to get the program materials updated from ODC's last changes. There were changes to the application to the program that ODC made that were just codified by City Council to update the ordinance. So we need to get everything updated for them, but otherwise they are pretty much, for the most part, within just weeks of submitting their application. So those are going to be the next two that we see come through, in my opinion. Other than that, we have some potential future applicants still, Dr. Pill and Dr. Cura. We've talked to both of them multiple times about potentially doing this, and it's kind of just been a combination of, COVID slowing things down and still not being quite sure on the idea that they need to go with and funding and different things like that. So we're putting them under the potentiality, but they have information about the program. We've met with them multiple times, and it's something that they're aware of.
And I will tell y'all, the house is looking really cool. Some of their artwork's going up, their lighting's going up. It's cool. Icon.
Is that what it was?
Huh?
Do we know for sure what it is?
The house, it's a bar. They own the restaurant across the street named.
El Sinaloense.
The
It's
same owners. It's just a bar, no food. They've talked about doing some food, but they're not sure. Probably not much. It's cool. It's looking really cool. I seen it yesterday. And on Icon Tavern, our architect was from Midland. He has moved to Brownwood. We had major problems getting a response. Our other architect moved to the Rio Grande Valley. It has been nothing but bad. We have fired both, and we're using Anthony Rios. We're down to the last few things. We're filing for permits end of the week or Monday to get moving forward. We're almost there.
And then, of course, with Icon too, we forget Bradley and his wife just had their third baby in early December, late November. So congratulations to them. And then also, let's say a prayer for Sean because he's not feeling very well. That's why he's not with us today. So both of those guys, let's send good vibes their way for different reasons, but still good vibes. So.
Thank you, Alexa.
Of course. If there's nothing further, I think that's the entirety of our agenda.
Okay. Call meeting adjourned.
Call it 12:54.
Meeting adjourned, 12:54.
Thank you, William.